Hello there. Welcome back to the Signature Self Show. I am your hostess, Mariah Young, the CEO of Gals and the Signature Self Specialist. Today, I am sharing with you a topic that I actually think is the most important topic within my Signature Self program. So, if you'll stay tuned, we're going to dive right in just a moment. All right, here we go. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you have not already grabbed it in the Gals community, you can go and grab the PDF that goes along with this lesson. I highly recommend it. And I also recommend making yourself a really cute binder like mine or whatever looks that you like. Mine is rose gold and glittery because it goes around along with my branding colors. But you get what color you enjoy and what type of binder that you enjoy for you to keep all of this information that we've been going over in. So we are on our May topic. Our overall topic is dump the junk. In the Signature Self program, we go through discover you, dump the junk, and design your ideal life. My goal is to help women be able to start becoming the author of their stories rather than continuing to live the life that others have written for them. So, I want to encourage you to go back and look if you're not already in the Gals community, which is a free Facebook community. Please go and check it out. That is where we keep all of our PDFs. And at some point, we'll probably be putting together a program with all these videos to corral it together for you. But please go ahead and check that out. All right, so let's dig in. I have shared that I believe this is the most important topic within my program. And the reason is because it is truly going to lay the foundation for designing your ideal life. If you did no other topic within Signature Self, I would say don't skip this one. Please don't skip it. It is just that important. So, and I really don't believe that I'm exaggerating in that. Many times when I work with women, one of the largest things that we have to overcome is a lack of confidence and just a lack of purpose and a lot of insecurities. Many, 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 many times. I cannot tell you how often it happens that when I start to work with women, they really are living in the lives of others' expectations. I call this the narrative that others have written for you. They have followed the flow of life. They have done all the things they thought they were supposed to do. They maybe went to college to go get a good job so that they could take care of themselves. If they were a mom, they became a mom and they did all the mom things that they were supposed to do. They played many roles. Maybe within their job or their marriage or, their volunteering, whatever that looks like. So often, most of these women that I work with, and maybe you can relate. I've been there. We just do the things that we think we're supposed to do. We don't take the time to step back and define what it is that we actually want in this life. And so, therefore, we continue down the stream and the flow that we just go on, right? And we just keep going. Keep going. Now, listen, there's nothing wrong with coasting, right? There's nothing wrong with cruising and enjoying life and all of that. But sometimes we find we're heading down the wrong stream. And quite often, it's a rough road no matter which way you go, but you want to decide where your destination is and not allow everyone else on the boat of the river of life to decide where you're going, how you're going to use your time, how you are going to spend your money. So That is what this page is going to do for you today. And I can tell that I'm getting comments from Coco. I am going to guess that that's who this is. Hello, my beautiful friend. I won't put all of these up because, they're just vanity comments for me, but I love it and appreciate it. Thank you, friend. Yes. Yes, I do actually believe this is a very important message. So, all right. I actually printed this out myself because when I did this about probably between 5 and 7 years ago, I was in a completely different place. So that is something to think about. This is not necessarily something that you have to create for your entire life, moving forward, because you're not going to know where you're going to be 5 years from now. And 5 years, believe me, can make such a huge difference. So we're just going to base it off of where you're at now. What is your lifestyle? Are you a mom with kids? Are you a single woman who is working? Are you an empty nester? What is that life stage that you're staring down at, right? So let's look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this page. And I really do want you guys to do this work. I promise you, you will not regret it. In fact, hopefully you'll come to me and be like, oh, thank you, Mariah. I'm so glad that you shared this with me and told me to do this because you were right. Okay. It is not about being right. It's just that I want you to do this. Okay. So looking here at our non-negotiables and deal breakers page. This, again, you can see I even wrote it on the page that I think this is the most important page in this entire book. So, in my humble opinion, this is where you truly begin to define what you want and what you don't want. And I would underline that don't want like 3 times in your life, because sometimes, just like coaching and other things, knowing what you want sometimes is the easier part. Knowing what you don't want is the more important part, because sometimes that's where we start to put up boundaries. So, non-negotiables are the things that you absolutely must do. I call this, if you were to live a no regrets life, these are the things that you decide, not anybody else, but you decide that are important to you. In order to have no regrets in your life, these are the things that you decide you need to do. Deal breakers are the absolutely not boundaries that you need to set up in order to do the latter, the non-negotiables, right? Deal breakers, we're going to start with what you don't want. Sometimes these are actually more important to define than the other, because sometimes just knowing these will actually help you to create what you need to do the non-negotiables. So, for example, and I'm going to put this in an interesting terms, because I think this is a really great way to make this a little more tangible. But when we were house shopping a year ago, just over a year ago, we would go into homes and we had a list of things that we wanted in a home, but we also had a list of things that we just did not want in a home. These were our deal breakers. There were quite a few things that we were fine with having and not having, and that was fine. But there were those things that we went in, and if they had them, it was a deal breaker. Or it's just those, things that stick out like a sore thumb. For example, one home that we went in, you walked in and the smell hit you so hard. You could tell these people probably had, lots of animals that had probably, gone to the bathroom all over the house. It was hot because it was in the summer. There was walls that were painted all kinds of weird colors. Seriously, it was, the house itself was one big, large deal breaker. There was the backyard actually looked like you could have used it for a haunted house in October. In fact, I actually said, this would be the only reason I might actually buy this house because it would make an amazing haunted backyard for Halloween. It was so bad. Hi, Don Renee. Thank you for stopping in. Let me go and hold that up. Hey, hey, it's Don Renee. Yes, love it. All right. So, what are your deal breakers in life? Being treated disrespectfully, that's a deal breaker for me. I can at least give a little bit of grace and that maybe the person I am speaking to doesn't understand what they're doing, but there's only so much of that. And at some point, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm not going to give you more of my time if you're going to treat me this way. Right. I used to have some pretty strong, even some stronger deal breakers. Like, I didn't used to cuss very much. And it was just something that was a personal preference, but it was a deal breaker for me. I didn't do it. I actually curse quite a bit more these days, if I'm being honest. But that's because with the crazy times that we've had in the last 2 years, 3 years, there just haven't been words to go far enough for me. So it's no longer a deal breaker for me. Anyone who is going to talk to you in a way that is not okay, they're going to not treat you okay, toxic people in your life, I don't have time for that anymore. And I have big things to accomplish in my life. So I'm just not even going to put up with that. It doesn't need to happen. Other people's expectations, that's another one. If somebody has an expectation of you, for example, I gave one last week when we talked about, I forgot what we talked about, but holiday expectations. That was a big one for us because we were the first couple to have children in our generation in our families. And there were these expectations of going everywhere on a holiday. And we just finally were like, no, we are not doing this anymore. We're done. Other deal breakers for me now that I am an empty nester, really, I don't have to have as many because we've kind of set up our no regrets life in a way that I don't actually have that many things that I would say, no, I'm not going to do that. But I have a couple. For example, I don't want to work on the weekend. That's a big one. My husband and I, we like to spend the weekend together. And so that has become, over the years, it wasn't a deal breaker before because we needed the money. But over the years, it has become one because that is our time to be together. It's our time to do our adventures or our projects or things like that. So working on the weekend doesn't work, as well as really working late into the evening. Doing it every now and then, which I do because I'm always creating and doing different things, is fine, but we do not want that to be a regular thing. Friendships. I have lots of great friendships, and they're actually a very important part of what I do. However, there are certain times that I either don't answer the phone or I don't schedule things with friends and stuff like that because actually my marriage is my number one priority, which does take me to non-negotiables. So I have several major non-negotiables in my life. And again, let me reiterate, this is if you were to live a no regrets life for you, what does that mean? That's going to be different for everybody, right? What my non-negotiables are going to be different than what your non-negotiables are. So I really want you to think through, like, take a minute, close your eyes, think through if you could think even just 5 years from now. It doesn't have to be the rest of your life. Hey, Amanda, and quickly say hello. Hi, so good to have you here. If you could think of just the next 5 years, what do you want your life to look like? When I do that for me, I know that I want to be a badass, powerhouse, resourceful, inspirational, motivational woman. I want to be making an income that allows myself and my husband and even my kids and possibly my friends as well to do many of the things that we want to do together, including travel, having nice holidays where I can either bring my kids and their families eventually in, or we can go and see them. I want to be able to create the home that I love, that I enjoy. I like to think of my home in terms of how do I want to use this space? How do I want to enjoy it? So creating those areas like my bedroom where I can come in and just relax and it's an oasis. I've got my fireplace with my beautiful blinds. I'm kind of creating like a tropical sort of feel in there because I love when I'm in the tropics. I don't want it to be too cheesy, but I want it to be comfortable and enjoyable and a place that I just want to go to. My living room, I like to have lots of seating arrangements. I love lots of light, but then I also love creating an atmosphere in the evening where, we have our fireplace, we've got our ambiance with our lights, we have our bar nearby so that we can have a nice cozy drink. I love my London fogs that Alex makes me, or in the summer, my Moscow mules, and just sitting and enjoying and cuddling with my husband while we watch a movie. I also love our front porch area where we have created a little seating area that we can just sit in and we can chat after the end of the day of work. We can have our drinks. We can just watch our neighbors as they come and they go. Our dog loves to sit up front and greet people and watch the birds, creating a space that I love. And that is a non-negotiable for me. I want a home that I enjoy being in. Excuse me. Now we are looking at some other options. At some point, we're talking about an RV, but you better believe that RV is going to be the same way. It's going to be created with beautiful ambiance and spaces that we can enjoy. Also, non-negotiables for me is that I want to be a teacher. I love teaching things. I love learning and then teaching. That actually helps me to solidify the knowledge that I have gained. So that's why I do stuff like what I do. I love to be able to share and inspire and motivate. I want to make an impact. I also want to love my kids unconditionally. I know that seems like a duh, but that does take some thought. Maybe playbooks. That's what I was talking about last week. Maybe the playbook that I'm coming with is not one where I learned to be a good mom, to be a good parent. And so I've had to put effort into that. Having an amazing marriage. Alex and I were not supposed to last. There were people who were guessing that we would not last very long. And so we have had to put a lot of effort into learning how to have a good marriage. And that is a non-negotiable for me, which is also why that is my top priority. So these things, how can they help you to create the life that you want? When you know these things about yourself, you know your non-negotiables, you know your deal breakers, you can begin to start to create a life that supports those things. At the time that I did this, I was working a lot. I mean, a lot, to the point that my husband was like, I just don't want you working anymore. Like, he was so frustrated with the amount that I was working. And the problem was, it's not as if I was working at a bad place. I loved the work that I was doing. I was just doing too much. And I'll be honest, a lot of that was my own fault. I was bringing home work. I was doing more than I was asked. And while that's commendable, and of course, you want to do the best that you can at a job, you want to give your all, you want to enjoy it, I had to set a boundary for myself, a deal breaker. Okay. So, and then I had to have that tough conversation with my boss. Like, hey, I love what I'm doing. I don't want to stop. However, I have recognized that I need to set up a boundary here. And quite frankly, again, it wasn't even their fault. It was completely my own fault because I loved what I was doing so much. But I had to step in and say, okay, you know what? My husband has made a request. It is not a bad request. In fact, it's a good one and is one that will help me to care for myself, right? So, setting up that I left work at a specific time. Every now and then, if it went over, it was fine, but that shouldn't be the regular. That should be the exception. And then letting it go. Wow, is that a hard one? I know some of you who have the same issue that I do, where you've got a million thoughts in your head. I know I'm not the only one that struggles with this, right? Not only did I have to stop work, but I actually had to stop work. I had to make my mind shut up, shut off, be done. And that takes a practice, but it was something because I knew my purpose and my reason behind it was to enjoy my husband when I was home, or my family at that time as well, that I had to do that. So oftentimes, it sometimes is setting up a boundary for something that's not even a bad thing. And those actually sometimes can be harder, because usually if it's a pretty point blank thing, like you're just like, oh my gosh, my boss is treating me like crap, I'm working way too many hours, I'm not getting any breaks, I'm not doing this, that's a pretty clear, you need to set up a boundary or change jobs, you need to like figure that out, right? Sometimes those are not as cut and dry, though. Sometimes it's because you're already doing something that you love and enjoy, but you're doing too much of it. So, yes, taking that. Thanks, Coco. I appreciate that. Absolutely awesome teacher. I appreciate it. Yes, I've had to set those boundaries. Yes, it is key, guys. It is key, because let's look at it this way, and then we will wrap up. If you are not setting the boundaries for those deal breakers, the things that you should not be doing, that you should not be putting up with, or maybe that you're not willing to put up with anymore, you're saying yes, or you're allowing them to happen, those things take up time, energy, finances, etc., 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 that you could instead be putting into those non-negotiables. So here's what I want to ask you about your non-negotiables. Yeah, I'm all itchy today. Sorry. How are you going about working in those non-negotiables? Are you making an impact around you? Whatever yours is, I'm going to go off of mine. This is what I'm asking myself. Are you planning travel? Are you having a fantastic marriage or relationship? Are you loving your kids unconditionally? Whatever it is that your non-negotiables are, the impact that you want to make in this life, the no regrets life, what are you doing in those things right now to create that life that you wanted, that you've always wanted, right? And maybe it's not your whole life. Maybe it's just 5 years from now, because sometimes your whole life is too much to look at. 5 years is great. How can you start to work in those more? What can you stop, get rid of, change, create? What can you do to begin to work in those things? If you want to travel, for example, this is a big one of mine. I actually want to travel a lot, but I realized the only travel that I'm doing right now, which is not bad, but it's all reactionary travel. It is not planned travel. I would love to go and do some historical traveling. I love history. So being able to go, to Europe, actually, even to go some of the places of my ancestors, even, my husband and I did the ancestry test, and we're both Northern European. Shocker. Not really. And so just going to visit those places, maybe learn about the culture, learn an instrument or a language or some of those things. But I am not currently actively doing anything to plan that. So facing that reality and saying, okay, when do I think is the next time that I could realistically travel? Now, granted, there's travel hacks and things that I'm going to learn, but that is a new quest of mine. And I'm not going to go into the quests right now, but it is a gamifying system that I'm putting together to help women to level up their lives. And I am doing it myself right now. But my quest is to plan my next trip in 2 years. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be to Northern Europe. And we're going to probably learn an instrument, maybe some dance, some language, and different things to go along with that. So what's it going to cost? How much do I need to save? What are the things that I can put into place right now? But that's going to help me to also set up some boundaries. Maybe I need to watch a little less TV so that I can make sure that I'm learning the things that I want to learn. Maybe it's time to take a class in something. Maybe I actually should go and learn about the history and watch some videos or take a course or do something to start to learn about those things, which means, I probably will have to watch less TV and actually make myself get off on time. I have a desk that I can put away, and that is my boundary for putting work away. So what kinds of things can you do, though, to start to work in those non-negotiables? Listen, I know this is still somewhat a little bit abstract of an idea. I promise we're going to start narrowing down and making this more hands-on, which is why I do want you to print these out, because this is a living document. As you go and as you continue to do the next steps that we're going to go over in the next couple of months, you can come back to this and say, oh, I didn't think about that one, as you're writing something else down. And you can actually just have it available so that you can continue to work on this. Everything within the workbook that I have given you guys is meant to be a living document, because you're not going to know everything right now, this very second. So keep it nearby. Also, if you have any questions or you need to go deeper in this, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to even just have a quick phone call or a correspondence through Messenger to see if I can help you with your next steps. This is just so key. Please do this work. Please print out the printable, or if you're not in gals, because it is only for gals, if you're a guy even watching this, it's an easy page. You could do this in a notebook. Non-negotiables, deal breakers. Write them down. Please do it. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you found it as valuable as I said that it was. It is to me. I love this particular activity, and I come back to it and do it really every 5 years. That would be ideal. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And until next time, which will be next Wednesday, live creatively, friends. Bye.